It's of course ridiculous to expect actors to give banger performances each and every time they step up to bat. It's just not possible. And yet, in recent times, these acclaimed, hugely popular actors all turned in the very worst work of their respective careers. How much blame should be afforded to the actors themselves varies wildly from film to film, but there's little denying that these performances have never slummed it harder than they just did. So let's dive in. I'm Adam, this is What Culture, and here are 10 actors who just gave their worst performance ever. Number 10. Susan Sarandon, Blue Beetle. Look, nobody was expecting Oscar winner Susan Sarandon to give a career-defining performance in Blue Beetle, but her turn as villain Victoria Cord was not good. Though the DC superhero film was largely praised for the chemistry of its vocal cast, Sarandon sadly stands out. And while the script didn't really give her anything much worthwhile to do, she still can't bring herself to feign a superficial level of interest. Sarandon's line readings are distractingly flat throughout, giving Cord a shot with a trank dart vibe, ensuring she's one of the dullest and most forgettable superhero movie villains in recent memory. It is as blatant as paycheck performances get. Few are going to blame an actress of Sarandon's caliber for not fully assing it in a Blue Beetle movie of all things, but her lifeless, unfussed performance sticks out like a sore thumb among her decidedly more committed and enthusiastic co-stars. Number 9. Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, Ghosted. The trailers for action rom-com Ghosted didn't exactly suggest a classic in the making, but in the very least it surely benefited from the tried and tested romantic chemistry between stars Chris Evans and Ana de Armas, right? Right? Except, despite the duo demonstrating their appealing dynamic in the first Knives Out, here there's not a scrap of the same, with the pair feeling bafflingly mismatched. It doesn't help at all that Evans is woefully miscast as the unassuming farmer Cole, yet the same can't be said for de Armas, who on paper should kill his secret CIA operative Sadie. As resoundingly terrible as the dialogue is, it's shocking that neither Evans nor de Armas can bring any life to their respective characters at all, in turn giving the most charmless performances of their careers. Given that Ghosted screenplay had strong written by ChatGPT vibes from start to finish, it shouldn't be too surprising that it led both stars to career worst work. Number 8. Lucy Liu, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is certainly one of the year's most disappointing films so far, and perhaps its biggest overall failing is casting Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren as villains and giving them almost nothing interesting to do. Granted, Mirren isn't exactly giving a home run performance either as Atlas's eldest daughter Hespera, but it's Liu as her younger sister Calypso who truly seems incapable of doing anything compelling with her thinly sketched character. Every line reading and facial expression here comes off as weirdly robotic, when on the absurd, operatic canvas of a superhero movie steeped in Greek mythology, Liu should have had some fun with the part by going wildly over the top. Instead, she delivers a cardboard-stiff rendition of a character who is supposed to be chaos incarnate. In the very least, Liu isn't alone in giving an underwhelming portrayal, but she turns in the ropiest performance of her entire career as a result. Number 7. Liam Neeson, Marlowe. Casting Liam Neeson as an older version of Raymond Chandler's legendary hard-boiled detective Philip Marlowe sounded like a killer idea on paper, but then the actual movie happened. A big part of the problem is that the script seems to have been written for somewhat a younger man, in turn refusing to fully acknowledge that Neeson is 70 years old. And so, it's laughable watching Neeson dispatch men less than half his age during physical altercations. But beyond that, Neeson's attempt to approximate the stoic cool of Humphrey Bogart's iconic interpretation of the character simply comes off as bored, as though he's impatiently waiting in line at the bank. It's fair to say that Neeson was ultimately miscast here, but even accepting that, he's never turned in a performance snoozier than this, not even in his trashiest of action flicks. Number 6. Glenn Close, Heart of Stone. Glenn Close can almost do no wrong, and though she starred in many movies blatantly below her station in the pursuit of a paycheck over the years, she's never shown as little enthusiasm as she did in Netflix's recent action thriller Heart of Stone. The Gal Gadot-fronted genre flick features a minutes-long surprise cameo appearance from the 8-time Oscar nominee, and while her presence can't help but perk up the movie for a moment, Close hasn't ever seemed this disinterested in a role. Close plays the King of Diamonds, one of the leaders of the global peacekeeping outfit called the Charter, and admittedly isn't asked to do much more than stand around and spout a few pages of exposition before being killed off. All the same, Close reads her dialogue with all the enthusiasm of someone double-checking their shopping list aloud, a mere obligation in order to get on with the rest of her day. Granted, this isn't a good movie by any stretch, but Close's performance made her seem seconds away from falling asleep mid-take. Number 5. Jonah Hill, You People. Jonah Hill has had a more impressive career than surely anyone could have anticipated when he burst onto the scene with Superbad in 2007. 15 years later, he's got 2 Oscar nominations under his belt, alongside a bevy of otherwise acclaimed performances. However, Hill's most recent role in Netflix stale rom-com You People represents his most misguided work to date, as proves all the more crushing given that he co-wrote the part for himself. Hill stars as Ezra, one half of an interracial couple who must navigate the differing values of their respective families, Jewish and Nation of Islam. It's not an inherently terrible idea for a movie at all, and yet, Hill never manages to make Ezra a likable character, and his chemistry with romantic co-star Lauren London is virtually non-existent. Granted, Hill's own script isn't doing him any favors at all, but he still comes off as completely lost throughout the film, made worse by an excruciatingly over-egged 118-minute runtime and that climactic CGI kiss. Number 4. NOOMI Rapace, Assassin Club. NOOMI Rapace has earned a reputation for classing up many junky straight-to-streaming action thrillers in recent years. But there's little point in trying to defend her shambolic performance in recent schlockfest Assassin Club. Rapace plays an antagonist assassin/Interpol agent, Falk, and while that might sound like a role she could knock out in her sleep, some truly head-scratching accent choices render the role unintentionally comical. Rapace's accent bizarrely lurches between a stereotypical southern drawl and something else, as though she hadn't committed to a single accent before shooting started and decided to just swap randomly between them at a moment's notice. Even accepting the duality of her character, the accent work is rough to say the least, and you can't even really say that Rapace looks like she's having hammy good fun. In a film with many wandering accents, hers are distractingly poor. It's a joyless performance in an admittedly miserable slog of an action flick, and a rare instance of the talented actress failing to elevate formulaic genre slop. Number 3. Ken Jeong, Fool's Paradise. Ken Jeong certainly isn't an actor for everybody. He's loud, boisterous, and often intentionally annoying. And this is taken to the most excruciating level yet in Charlie Day's recent misfire of a directorial debut, Fool's Paradise. The film sees Jeong play Lenny, the opportunistic publicist of Day's mute protagonist Latte Pronto. And while Lenny is absolutely supposed to be overbearing to a point, we're also meant to like him eventually, yet Jeong's train wreck of a performance simply turns him into an easy-to-loathe irritation. Even knowing what Jeong's typical acting style is like, this is especially tough to sit through, his entire energy proving more off-putting than it's ever been before, which is really saying something. Number 2. Javier Bardem, The Little Mermaid. Javier Bardem is obviously a terrific actor whose plaudits speak for themselves, and his filmography certainly isn't littered with obvious no-effort paycheck roles. And yet that's precisely why this strangely off-key performance in the recent live-action remake of The Little Mermaid, playing King Triton, rings so disappointingly hollow. For an actor of Bardem's talent to give such a strangely forgettable feeling devoid performance, for a part he seems pitch perfect to play no less, is a mystery. Was it the result of poor direction, or Bardem simply trying to give the audience a restrained Triton and flopping completely? Either way, it's a non-entity of a performance that can't get close to touching the presence and emotion of Triton in the original animated film. Bardem was upfront in pre-release interviews that he primarily took the role for the sake of his daughter. Yet with that in mind, where the hell was the energy and enthusiasm? It's just nothing. Number 1. Michael Flatley, Blackbird. There's no denying that Michael, Lord of the Dance Flatley, is a talented dancer. Though outside of a few cameo appearances in a handful of movies, few would consider him an actual actor. That is, except Flatley himself, who in 2018 started production on his own self-financed, self-directed, self-starring spy film Blackbird, which finally hit UK cinemas last year. To call the film a vanity project is to rather undersell the matter. Blackbird marks Flatley's clear attempt to build a James Bond-esque action franchise for himself, and in an outcome which most could have surely seen coming, is an abject disaster. The 60-something Flatley simply isn't believable as a suave, sexy, physically capable spy, and is further unaided by a self-penned script that has a distinct "we have Casino Royale at home" quality to it. Flatley has sold out stadiums the world over for very good reason, yet it's also painfully clear why his attempt to establish himself as an action hero didn't make the faintest dent at the box office. And there we have it, folks, our list of actors who just gave their worst performance ever. But please do make sure you let us know down in the comments of your worst performances ever by your favorite actors. And while you're there, make sure you give us a like and a cheeky subscribe. If you want to follow me on socials, I am at Strawn87 across all socials. You can come and say hello to me on there. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, the rest of your month. And until next time, take care.